And we're on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special broadcast today with Roxy Lopez and myself. I want to welcome all of you to the GIC TV special live stream event today with myself and Roxy Lopez. We are going to be covering a lot of different topics today as well. We would like to be able to take your questions if you have any. If you're watching us either on live stream or at the GIC.org, there should be a chat available right beneath the player, and you can go ahead and put your questions right in there. But before that, just give me one moment to get what do I say, a monitor so I can see what's going on. So give me 1 second. And in the meantime, why don't I welcome Roxy Lopez and let her say hello to you all. So hello, Roxy, welcome, and it's great to see you. We can actually see you. It's
Hi,
great.
hi, everybody. It's wonderful to be here, and it's sort of fun. Isn't this fun?
Yes, it is really a lot of fun. Okay, there we are. I can see us now. I couldn't find the window where we were playing, but anyway, look at us. We look great. Anyway, so this is this is a very special day for me and a very special day for the GIC. Not only because of the fact that it is a live stream event, but it's also my first live stream with Roxy Lopez, and this is something that we had been talking about doing for quite a while now. And of course, we get to do it after she moves her radio show to American Freedom Radio. But now I get to have her on live stream. So, so we're very
Yay!
grateful and welcome back to GIC for the day, Roxy.
Yeah, this is fun. This is great. And I want to thank you for inviting me, and I also want to say I'm glad that we're friends, and I'm glad that we're colleagues and we still work together. And that was a really weird feeling to think that we weren't going to be able to work together anymore. So this is like smoking hot, baby.
It is for me too, Rox. It really is for me too. Um, Let me ask you something. Tell me a little bit. No, well, we haven't had you on the radio show for a while now. I mean, on my radio show. And your radio show recently moved over to American Freedom Radio.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how it's going and some of the guests that you've had on your show in the last couple of weeks. Your first 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah, my first 2 weeks. It's really been interesting. A lot of new things to learn because we have commercials, and that's Harley, by the way, in the background. Harley, you cannot be on this show, honey. That's my kitty. Anyway, it's great. I mean, I was really sort of panicked the first show because there's all these timing mechanisms, where to get in the show, where to get out, and of course, as you well know, the favorite thing for me about doing radio shows is my guest. I like to put my guest on a platform to expose what they are doing to the world. I like to help them out. That's why we record the shows, and then we have photos of our guests, and we put them on YouTube, and then we do articles with all the contact information and the latest with whatever's happening with that guest. So with that in mind, the first show we had Dr. Will Spencer, who's a naturopath and wonderful man, who's just delving into Morgellons disease. And then we had Marie Pollock from Europe, and Melanie Vishan from Europe as well, who are both Morgellon sufferers. And I'd been working with them for Hans Ohlers, actually, who does a show out of Mexico, introduced me to these two wonderful women who are going through such an insane uh, tragic life right now. Melanie just had her child taken away from her, and this is due to Morgellons disease. And I can get into that more later if we want to. But anyway, it was great exposure because it gave the women a platform to be able to express what they're going through. And I must say, they were absolutely courageous to be able to express exactly the psychological medical aspect of Morgellons disease and then the physical aspect, and then trying to find help for themselves over the last 6 or 7 years. It is such a debilitating disease, and it's a frightening disease because no doctor, no MD in the world will treat you or diagnose you. And that's a really scary thing when you can't get diagnosed. For instance, let's say you went to the doctor because you were having pain in your chest, let's say, and you went to the doctor. Think about this. All of us know what this feels like. And then maybe you go to the doctor 6 or 7 times, and the worst fear that humans have is the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So let's say that doctor says to you repeatedly, we can't find anything wrong with you. We don't know what's wrong with you. We don't know why you're having chest pains. And let's say that doctor sends you to a psychiatrist and gives you sleeping pills and other medication, basically just says, this heart pain you're having is all in your head. Well, that's what Morgellon sufferers go through. They go through that whole psychological battle of there's nothing wrong with you. And that's just, it makes me so angry. So anyway, the first show was very enlightening for the public, and Dr. Spencer got in there, and we brought up some of Caroline Carter's work in Cyprus because she is also, a biologist and a health practitioner, and she's been studying the disease for years because she has the disease. And we brought up, she is way ahead of the curve. We brought up the idea that she has said for years that this is genetically modified organism disease, and Dr. Spencer said he agreed. And this was wonderful because I didn't know if he agreed or not. And so he came right out and said he absolutely 100% believed in Caroline Carter's work. So, that was our first show, and it went off really well. And everybody did a great job, and we all did a great job together. And that is how the shows are going to continue. They're 2 hours long, and I'm not always used to doing a 2-hour show, so
right.
It was great. It was great to do a 2-hour show, have more information for the public on the show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Absolutely.
That's really good. And I do miss doing shows with you as well, because I'll tell you one thing, what was really easy about it was we got on just like this, no commercials, no breaks, no music, no this, no that. Now I'm just watching this pie chart constantly to make sure, and make sure that I, with the guest, if they're in the middle of something, I'm learning how to get right back to the subject when we come back from commercials. So it's all a learning curve, and I'm enjoying myself. It's good. I needed to. I'm growing.
Good. I'm very proud of you, and I'm very, very grateful to have been a part of it with you. I have a question, and for me actually. I was watching, I don't know if you saw, I believe it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, Max Egan released his new about an hour-long video. And, he's the Aussie version of us, basically. And he had this segment within the video that was dedicated to chemtrails and Morgellons, or whatever we want to call it. And it was very fascinating because there were clips in there. He had put clips together of a woman who had done some research, and what they're I don't know if that's what they're trying to do or if it's just new information that they have come across. But it seems to be that he believes, at least according to this particular film, that it could be some type of global elite, well, I hate to use the word conspiracy, but let's say program to facilitate transhumanism in certain people. And the reason why transhumanism, and that's one thing I know, we've covered every aspect of chemtrails and Morgellons. You and I have spoken about everything. And we've never really talked about transhumanism. And the reason why they're saying it's transhumanism is that it turns out, according to this woman, and I wish I could cite her. I can cite actually the video is on GIC if you want to see it. But this woman is saying that they have photographs, and they show the photographs of the Morgellons evolving. Okay, we know it's not a non-organic compound. We know that it's some type of, I guess, nanotechnology or something, perhaps. Or at least that's what they're implying in the video. And they saw like little, it looked like they turned into little processors, like little chips. Like over years, these little webs all of a sudden started evolving into little processors. I don't know if you've gotten that far. Have you seen anything like that yet? Or is
You know,
this?
you're so on target. I'm blown away because you and I haven't spoken with each other for a couple of weeks
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least. Interesting enough, our second show that we did last Friday, we had Barbara Peterson from Farm Wars, and we covered this. We covered,
Wow.
yes,
Oh, we
and
rock.
we also had Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch, who actually spoke about a few things as well. But let me say, this is my understanding, and if anyone wants to look into Morgellons disease, you're welcome to go to my website, thetruthDenied.com. There are tabs on the top of the website. Just go to Morgellons and click. If you go to Morgellons archive, you'll see all the backup work, and if you just hit Morgellons, you'll go to any breaking news stories on Morgellons. Now, so let me say this, and if you want to listen to that show from Friday, God, I
Yeah.
sound like one long commercial right now. Sorry, guys,
No,
but
no,
but
no.
it's the truth. We
Yeah, yeah.
just covered this, and all of Barb's work is there. So if you go to a breaking news page and just click on Morgellons or click on Chemtrails, you'll get the reports up from Barbara Peterson, or the YouTube download also is featured right now on our YouTube channel. So if you just go to our YouTube channel, it'll just play for you. And we did cover many of these aspects. You know, let me back up a bit. I did
Yeah.
a show, a 4-hour show, um, with about 10 other people, and it was on live stream. And what I learned was unbelievable. Different members of this show, including Jesse Bertrand, who has now he's got a whole campaign going. They're collecting data from all over the world, people who have Morgellons. And Dr. Will Spencer actually said this. This blew my mind. He said that Morgellons disease, that whatever this is in epidemic proportions. Now, we already know from Caroline Carter's work that she was testing hair samples. 8 out of 10 people were testing positive for Morgellons disease. So isn't it interesting that you just mentioned this metamorphosis, or this escalation inside the human body? Now, the work that I have studied, yes, showed hives inside the human body, spiderweb type hives, with they call them, they're Morgellons bugs. Like there are videos of an actual bug coming through the skin of a human being. I have no idea. It's so out there. It's so not tangible for me right now,
Right.
and for most people to even imagine this occurring in the human body. But I will say this: with transhumanism, Barb Peterson spoke on that a little bit, and we talked about. For those of you who don't know, check out this documentary. It's about, just Google spider goat, and we brought it
Oh,
up.
I heard about
And
that.
mhm. And the spider goat is just, it's so bizarre because you have to ask yourself, why would they do this? But basically, I'm not a scientist, so I'm going to explain it in a way that, the general population can understand. Basically, they mixed a gene of the spider with the goat. Now, the farm that they take you through in this documentary, the goats look like goats. They don't look like spiders, or they don't look like half spider, half goat. They look like perfectly good goats. What they did it for, though, is the goat milk. The goat milk has a gene from the spider that can make the goat milk, it has the same consistency as a spider web. So, the gene of a spider web. So then you ask yourself, why would you want goat's milk with spider web genes in it? Like, what's that for? But they're making synthetic skin. They're making bulletproof skin with it.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Okay, is that crazy?
That's very nuts. That's
What
very, very
for?
nuts.
And see, a lot of people that write me, And I'm not going to mention names here, but some of them are very prominent in the activism community of studying this synthetic biology. And I will say this, it's alarming to me where this is all leading, because some of it they're saying they're testing it on apparently on NASA astronauts, so that NASA astronauts don't get hit by radiation, because there's a lot of radiation out there, and we all know that. I mean, but why would we make synthetic skin here on Earth? Are we having radiation issues?
Yeah, that they're not telling us.
That they're not telling us. Yeah, so it's all sort of. I've been looking into it for about a year, and I don't know the depths of it like Barbara Peterson. So go to farmwars.info if you want to read. Barbara, writes up papers on it and does a lot of studying. That's her big focus right now. So, and she's very credible. I love her work.
Yeah,
and
she's awesome.
If anybody wants to know more about it, I would say direct yourself there, because she definitely knows more about it than I do.
Okay, great. That's a great place to start, and a great lead-in into the next question. Actually, our question is from our own Trevor. Reverend Trevor Knott would like to know, what are some of the early symptoms of Morgellons disease? What are some of the first signs that someone might have Morgellons?
Well, what I'm observing, and again, this is from observing Caroline Carter's work, and the data that she has provided for me, and then of course other information that I get from Barb Peterson and others who are studying Morgellons, like Will Spencer. This is interesting. Most people have no symptoms. Most people that are testing their hair and they come back positive don't have symptoms. Then you have another camp who have stress. It started, the two gals that were on the show with me, they expressed it, because I asked them that question too. What did they start to notice? So extensive stress levels that you can't control all of a sudden. So something goes batty in the hormones. I'm not sure. And then the lesions. So anywhere from, itching under the skin to burning to lesions on their skin. And there's a lot of photo evidence of this. And a wound. Marie Pollock had mentioned a wound that she couldn't heal. And several wounds that would get deep. And it sounded like staph infection, because I remember staph. I had it in the 70s when I was in high school. Oh, I just dated myself.
We're close.
I had it on the back of my heel, and I know what a wound is that can't heal. It started as very small, and it just got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And anybody that had staph infections in the 70s knows it was like, and it just kept oozing. Well, the same thing happens with Morgellons patients. These are wounds that don't seem to go away, don't seem to dry up, don't seem to scab over. So that's really interesting to me. And then others symptoms are a very coarse at first hair that grows out of the skin that's very dark. And this is a Morgellons fiber. This is a synthetic fiber. And if you test it, it's not a human hair. So those are some of the things. And facial, breakout. Well, for instance, let's say you never broke out from pimples and things like that. You'll suddenly have these outbreaks. A lot of them are head and down the neck and arms. Some people report them starting from their legs up. These massive, that almost look like burns, like really hardcore burns or something.
Oh, wow.
And they're very painful. What it is, and the reason for the pain, is somehow they have like a little calcium buildup on them and rock almost. And so when that pierces through the skin, imagine what that must feel like.
Yeah. That's
even though
painful.
It's tiny. Yeah, and so they'll get them all over the place, Early symptoms just seem to be general insomnia. They have insomnia, and like I said, you would think it was almost like a stress disorder because
Yeah.
they have this stress and insomnia that begins, and then from there it goes into a whole nother the physicalities start to show up. Now, those who are having the breakouts, the outbreaks, the very few compared to those who are testing positive and not having any symptoms. And I think that's pretty scary, actually, to test positive for Morgellons and not have any outward symptoms.
No, that would be very scary. And
You know what it reminds me of?
Yeah.
And I brought this up before with Caroline, and I think she misunderstood me. We were going back and forth in emails, but it reminds me of AIDS in the 80s. I was at the forefront of that because many of my friends and family members had AIDS, got AIDS, contracted AIDS. Some that were the carrier of AIDS had no symptoms. Yet my friend, God bless him, Mitchell Howard, I think he was only 30 years old. He contracted AIDS, and within months, he was dead.
Oh my.
So, yeah, he just turned into like a skeleton of himself. And this is the early 80s when no one knew what AIDS was. They weren't sure what was happening. And in Los Angeles, there were all of these, like I'd be driving down Hollywood Boulevard and I'd pass a park and I'd see all these, people in the park with these signs protesting. And it was all about the AIDS movement, tell us the truth kind of thing. So we have to look back into the 80s and say, how long did it take the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, how long did it take doctors to tell their patients they actually had a disease, which now we call AIDS?
Right.
So this reminds me of that all of the sudden you had an epidemic of AIDS pop out of what seemed to be nowhere. And look at how the disease is transmitted. It seems like AIDS might have been around, come on, common sense, for a lot longer. Then all of a sudden it was boom, it was everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And the disease would already been, we all know how it was contracted and we all know how it was shared. Right. So it's, you know what I'm saying? Morgellons has the same hint of that to me.
I see.
That
and
you watch. It's that more the same methodology involved. You watch. All of a sudden, people are going to be left and right having these breakouts. And then what are we going to do? And with the CDC reporting, did a 6-month study, blah, 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 and coming back with, again, psychosis and dermatitis. And, I think it's a huge cover up. And I'll tell you where it leads. The rabbit hole to this is if indeed those like Will Spencer and Caroline Carter and a few others, if indeed they are correct and this is directly linked to genetically modified organisms, then we're getting it through our food. We're getting it through GMO food. Yeah. Monsanto has created this. We're getting it through non-edible food. Animals are eating it. Cows, are eating the GMO grain. Okay, so think about this. It would have to remain a huge cover-up if Monsanto wants to continue to conquer the food chain and then go up the ladder here. We talked about this as well. Chemtrails. So first you control the weather. And if you can control the weather, now you've got Monsanto controlling agriculture. And then what about our health? What are and do they have a cure? Is there a possible cure to this? I think, listen, it's not just my opinion, and I'm going to be very, very blunt about this. It's already proven that it's changing the DNA. All right, now we all know about my kitty Harley. Mm-hmm. This is how I started doing major research on this. Harley one afternoon on a Saturday, all of a sudden started throwing up and having diarrhea. Like one after barfing, like somebody who has E. coli. And speaking of E. coli, by the way, mainstream media put this out, which means the government wants us to know. All right? Because the media is controlled by the government. It's all propaganda. Mainstream media a week ago put out that 50% of chickens that are sold in 100% of the supermarkets have E. coli.
Wow. I believe that very easily.
Why would we put that out to the public? What's the game here? See, because I don't know if that's true or not. But let's go back to Harley very briefly. After several visits to a specialist and major tests run on Harley, Harley has irritable bowel disorder. Irritable bowel disorder is not what it sounds like. It's not like somebody... See, the thing about E. coli is when you get E. coli, you have diarrhea, you throw up. Your body's trying to reject the food that you just ate because it was poison. And it flushes and flushes and flushes out. You either die if you get a bad case of E. coli because your hydration... You have no hydration.
Yeah, you get dehydrated, of course.
Your sodium levels drop, all kinds of things drop.
Potassium, all that.
Potassium, all of that. So the interesting thing, and keep that in the back of your mind, potassium will bring up potassium and the chemtrail relationship to potassium and low potassium. But anyway, you're absolutely right. So basically what Harley had is not E. coli, and I kept telling the specialist that it's acting like E. coli, violent throwing up and violent diarrhea. It acts like that. But anyway, irritable bowel disorder is like a permanent E. coli. And what it does is it messes with the way the body absorbs nutrients. Mm-hmm. Harley, that was his first episode that day. We had him in emergency that day. Here's where I was astounded. When they weighed him that day, no other signs did Harley have before this. He had weighed 5 pounds less than he had weighed 8 months prior.
Wow. Wow.
And no signs. He had normal eating patterns, but he was acting like he was really hungry all the time, and I was having to give him extra food. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah,
my cat, and that's a lot for a cat to lose, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a very large cat. He's 15 pounds. Do you want to see him?
Oh, please bring him on if he's nearby. We could all finally meet Harley live.
Yes, he's a really large... Okay, no, we're going to go on camera,
Yay,
sweetheart.
Come on, Harley.
Okay, so this is Harley. Harley's a big cat. He's
Hi,
not a little
Harley.
Cat.
He's a big
Harley,
cat.
Yeah, he's a big
Beautiful.
boy. Look how big he is.
Huge.
He's a big boy. Okay. Oops.
Hey, he's like, I'm done.
Running off with my mic. Okay. So he was 15 pounds. He was now down to 10-something. And that shocked me. All of a sudden I got this feeling like shot through my body, like, how did he lose all this weight? Well, because you get malnutrition no matter what you're eating, because your intestines are all screwed up. And by the way, this is a DNA change feature. So your DNA is actually changing. Your body doesn't know what to do with nutrients anymore, because what is it doing? It's flushing out GMOs, and it doesn't know how to identify maybe the GMO from this, so it starts flushing everything out. Right. But keep in mind, there were no symptoms prior to this. He seemed to be having normal everything prior to this. So here's the question. This is also in epidemic proportions. 2 years ago, the specialist said that, 1%, 2% of her clientele was IBD, dogs and cats. Now it's 60%.
Huh. Do you think that had something to do with the food?
Yes, it absolutely does, because I started to research all the food, even though it was organic, and I won't go into depths about this, but I started to research all the food. If anybody wants to look at my research, that is also on the Truth Tonight under GMOs. Okay, so you can just go there under Breaking News, GMOs. You can follow Harley's story, because I'm documenting everything with Harley. Good. But what it made me realize, Bernard, is that IBD is also in humans. So what is going on here? So when when you hear shows or you hear or read articles about the GMOs changing the DNA, that's just not hyperbole. That is the truth. That is really going on.
Yeah.
It is changing us at a genetic level, and it is robbing us of nutrients. I heard a show of all things on Coast to Coast a couple of weeks ago, and I dropped my jaw when this gentleman, and I don't remember his name, and I'm sorry, I like to name sources, but I just haven't had the time to go back onto Coast to Coast to find out what the guy's name was. But he had the nerve to come on that show and actually say to the listening audience that he didn't know why people were complaining about GMOs, that basically they're feeding the world.
That's
that
what,
millions,
yeah, that's the definition they try to get everybody to
millions
believe.
of people would have been dead right now. They're fixing starvation now. Oh, if that's the truth, why is 1 out of 6 people in the United States of America starving?
Yeah.
That's a statistic right now. 1 out of 6 individuals, citizens, okay? I don't know what that is in percentage. We have 300 million people, so I don't know the percentage. I can't do the math in my head real quick. If somebody wants to do the math for that. 1 out of 6 is
Wow.
starving in the United States of America. This is the United States of America. How is that even possible? When we throw away more food in this country than any other country in the world. How is this possible? So don't tout to me that you're feeding the world. Well, if you're feeding the world, you missed us.
Yeah. And
It's
you know what?
BS.
I can't help but I have to put a comment in here, in the sense that we talk about GMOs, we talk about all of these other things, but let's put the intention, the motivation into it, which seems to be, and I remember this from a few years back, the whole Codex Alimentarius aspect of it, where they wanted to do a code, an international code of nutrients and everything, and that's what made all the herbs illegal and all the nutrients illegal. And they want to reduce the nutritional value of all the food. Now, here in the United States, everyone has a microwave. I know everyone who uses their microwave. I know I got rid of mine years ago, and I haven't touched one in 5 years. However, people don't realize a microwave robs food of nutrients. You go to Burger King, you go to McDonald's, you go to all these fast food places. What do? They put your food in a microwave. And the worst part is the food that they're getting is probably genetically modified with less nutrients as it is. And then they zap it with a microwave to kill all the nutrients. So, I think it's very fair to say here that everything that we're talking about right now kind of is in play with the Codex Alimentarius aspect of it, in the sense that they don't want us to be healthy. And I don't want to say they, the ruling elite oligarchs or whatever that own, that want to make money off our illness, they don't want you to be healthy. They want you to get sick. Go ahead, Roxy.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm like.
But no,
Well,
I mean, do you understand what I mean? Do you see where I'm going with this? I mean, so much stuff comes into play here. We have GMO, we have chemtrails, we have Morgellons, we have the Codex Alimentarius, we have microwave, denying us nutrition. I mean, all of these things are coming into play, and people don't seem to realize that. And I've said before, as a joke, to one of my, well, not even as a joke, but we were discussing, and I've said this before online, is one of my friends who is a minister. We talked about this one night, and she's like, you know what? Everywhere you look, you're getting poisoned. It's all about harm reduction. And I'm like, you're right. It's us being aware. What can we do to reduce the harm? So
It is absolutely, no. You hit the nail right on the head. And the idea, see, when we share with people that they don't want us to be healthy, a lot of people can't even fathom like that. Why would they want us to be sick? Why would they want us to not be healthy?
Money.
Why would they want to screw with our DNA? Why would they want to do any of this? And there are many, many, many reasons why. And hypothesis. A lot of people hypothesize why. We're getting hit from radiation, so maybe that's why they're using the chemtrails to mitigate the radiation. Or there's from that angle to chem webs are extraterrestrial, and now it's time for us to start becoming more like our extraterrestrial
Well,
parent.
that's not at all, but go ahead.
Well, there's just so many stories, so many reasons. The real deal is check out your pharmaceuticals. The pharmas, and we know this, people, you need to see the movie Contagion. I went and saw it the first couple of days it was out last summer. Now it's probably on DVD. You need to rent it and take a look at it. Hollywood propaganda puts out films for a reason. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Really, and
It's to
what I
prepare
want
your
to say,
subconscious for what's coming in a
that's
lot of
right.
ways.
And that movie really spells it out, how viruses work, how it comes down, how a virus gets out of the hands of the biologists and too far out into the public, and how they have to rear it back, reel it back in because now too many people are dying, or this or that. So this is all a control factor. And we all know that the mechanism is control. The mechanism is money. And it isn't any of this nonsense about there's too many people on the planet and then we need to reduce the population. It's about money. If the reduction of population occurs, as geoengineers have come right out and stated that the scientific experimentation outweighs the lives that are lost in the interim, because the scientific experiments will, in the long run, save lives. And you know what? At this point, I think it's gone so insane with the Frankenstein stuff that at this point, most biolabs, all of this stuff they're working on it today, and nuclear and fracking and ruining the earth and killing everything. The bottom line is this: I don't care if these are side effects to the actual cause. These side effects eventually build up such a toxicity. We're not immune to toxicities. And what happened, and Dr. Robin Falkov explained this to me, what happened to Harley, or what happens to people who get IBD, irritable bowel disorder or irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens is your body finally hits a level of toxicity from all the different sources over the years that build up and build up and build up and build up. And eventually what happens is your body hits this toxicity, and as Dr. Will Spencer said about Morgellons, the body now tries to push it out any way it can. Yeah. And so it mutates. Our bodies mutate because it's trying to figure it all out. The human body is humans are an amazing species, so much so that we don't even really know everything. We don't even know how the brain works, really. Yeah. I mean, we know so much. We don't even know why we're not using 85% of our brain. Why is it there? We don't understand. So
yeah.
Right? There's all kinds of magical things that are going on in the human body that, we do the best we can. So in the big picture, I think creating awareness is a door. Okay. In my activism, and I know this is happening at the GIC as well, when we bring a truth to the forefront for people to look at, a very magical thing happens to that individual. Let's say somebody who never heard of a chemtrail, and we start to bring the subject matter and have the conversation with that person. We're not doing it to create fear and panic. No. We're doing it because a very magical thing happens. That person begins to use and make use of their critical mind again. Yep. They start looking at it, analyzing it, checking it out, asking questions, and that critical mind turns back on. And this is, I believe, the steps that we're taking for activation. We're getting reactivated as human beings and as spiritual beings. It's all coming together. It's a very, very cool thing. So why do you think that all of these critical mind topics are kept out of mainstream? And if they're brought into mainstream at all, like my interview with CBS on KPHO, what we do is like, well, Roxy's crazy.
Right.
So this is what we've got. And what we need to do, I'm working on something here with Casa Grande right now, and I'm slowly getting people to use their voice. And this is the thing, I've been advertising a little thing called One Voice.
Good.
You know, like you do One Love.
Right, right.
One voice. If we pull ourselves in together and unify, we become one very powerful voice. And that's what it's all about. And I'm educating my community right now about a couple of things. And at first I was the crazy lady. And now other people are coming to the forefront. And anyone that's in a position of power in this, by the way, that I'm dealing with, all right, tried to paint me on public boards is I'm the only one complaining about it. No one else is complaining about it. We have water issues here.
Well,
ridicule
is a method they use.
It is. It's an absolute method. And so now people are starting to realize, you know, can you believe this? They're starting to say, wow, I did try to take a shower at 5:30 in the morning and I had no water pressure. You know, she's right. So the more and more people don't even notice that's rights or water or foods being contaminated, because it's been such a slow kill.
Yes, yes. They do it very slowly, and it's rolled out so slowly that you don't even notice it's happening.
And in 2008, we crashed the stock market. Not we, they crashed the stock market. The mortgage-backed securities were involved in the stock market. It crashed the whole housing market. Then we took homes away illegally. Did you know that 5 of the major banks in this country have have been sued twice and won by the public for illegal foreclosure.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're winning. See, and so more and more people, if you get together, don't do the class action lawsuit for money, people. Do it because you were robbed and you were lied to. Okay, these banks are not in any trouble. All right, they are making a profit off of you. So what I'm saying is that the more that we get in action, okay, what kind of money am I getting paid to do activism? I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the righteous freedom and sovereignty of my life. I cannot sit on the sidelines and watch this game. I can't watch the game being played anymore without saying something about it.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's so important. I'm so glad you made that point, Roxy, because a lot of people, you know, many of us, and including myself, we are constantly bombarded every day by another corruption, by another illegal foreclosure, or another illegal action by the government, or another chemtrail spraying over our city. I mean, all of these things, and they're happening all day long, all day long, all day long, and many of us get very overwhelmed. And I feel that there comes a point where people like yourself, like myself, and like many of us out there in the consciousness community, as well as like the Occupy and the alternative media, we've had it. We're fed up. We want to be the voice of these people that realize what's happening, and people like yourself and myself are willing to sacrifice our careers, our livelihood, and whatnot in order to do that. So yes, it is a passion, very much so a passion, and the reason why I bring this up is that for those of you that are watching this, by all means blog, by all means make videos, by all means start radio shows, all of these things. I know that we're constantly encouraging members of the GIC. Post your videos, post your comments, post what you're thinking, because a lot of people need to know you're not alone. And I feel that that's a service that you do to other people, for the world, by the work that you do, the activism you do, and your radio shows, that people finally realize, I'm not alone, I'm not crazy. I mean, one person thinking the sky is purple might be crazy, but 1 billion people seeing chemtrails in the sky only supports the reality of that's what's really happening.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, it's just like on the front of my website now, I have, you know, we are 7 billion strong. We are the majority. So see, I don't talk about, we are the 99% as much as I talk about we are the majority.
Right.
We are the majority on this planet. So it's just a matter of systematically waking up our brothers and sisters. And listen, if you're watching this or you're listening to shows and you're really starting to understand, here's what you do to balance your life out. Because I do a lot of research that's very dark, and it's like, I find out something new almost every day that I just want to scream. And then on top of that, I'm surrounded by hired guns from the government, hired shills, hired trolls. I'm surrounded by them, and that can rob you of who you are. And so how I've been able to sustain for the last couple of years, and by the way, yes, thank you for mentioning careers. I had a career my whole life, a very successful career. But when I got this wake up call, I decided that,
the music industry wasn't what you wanted.
no, it was, and it was a stepping stone. I loved it. I that was my passion, and I was very successful at what I did. I love the music industry. I am an artist. I'm a born creative artist. I'm a recording artist. So absolutely not. Okay. Believe me, you had to pull me out of the music industry. I mean, so many different things.
So something else grabbed your attention that was more aligned with your
the
spirit?
Doors opened in activism, and then it's kind of like I didn't want to open the door in activism, and I just wanted to hold on to my music.
Yeah, me too.
And someone opened the door, and a tornado came in, and a bunch of people grabbed me and pulled me through the door, and I was like, oh my God, we're not in Kansas anymore, kind of thing,
you can say that again.
And within a couple of months of doing activism, before you knew it, I was already, talking to my husband about giving up my entire career, and could I do what I'm doing now? And I didn't know anything. I'm not a technical person. I didn't know how to build websites, and thank God for my webmasters who really have helped me so much, and all of our writers. I mean, I could not do all of this. There isn't enough time in the day. There really isn't, and you know what I'm talking about, Bernard.
Oh, boy, do I.
There's just not enough time in the day. But I will say this: we need you at any capacity. If you're a writer, write in to Bernard, write in to me, get involved. If you want to stay behind the scenes and be a writer, fine, be a writer. If you want to stay behind the scenes and just make videos, then make videos. If you want to start a website, we'll tell you how to do a free website on WordPress. If you want to do a blog, maybe once a week, and blog something that you've noticed in your community or your world, do it. There are others of us who are really at the forefront, who are heading into city council meetings, who are heading into government meetings and saying, hey man, like Al DeChico up in Arizona, northern Arizona, he's gone into that city council meeting. He's gone into those health meetings. And, by the way, I've got a question.
Yes.
Do you know anything, because you're in Occupy Virginia, I was wondering, do you know anything about how to start a town hall meeing?
That's a great question. Let me make sure I'm not muted. I want to make sure I'm not muted. As a matter of fact, I personally do not know how to start a town hall meeting. However, I probably do have certain members within our Occupy community that do. As a matter of fact, we're very lucky to have a friend of ours, a friend of Occupy, who's running for city council. So that's a wonderful thing that's happening with our friendship with him. But I really don't know. I would probably suggest, and maybe, excuse me, maybe from what I have seen here locally is check out your local library. Here in Roanoke, the main library, you can rent or you can book their conference hall for free, and then just advertise it as a town hall meeting. So that's something that you may want to consider doing. I personally, I want to start doing Occupy trainings for the public at the local library. So from what I know here locally, the main library conference halls are free to be booked by the public. So that's something that all of us could do, is set up an event, a town hall, a training, anything like that, and book your local main library conference hall for free.
Thank you for the information. Somebody sent me an email this morning and mentioned town hall. It was something pertaining completely not even to do with chemtrails or anything, but the word town hall came in. Wait a minute, town hall meetings. And you're right, I think we can do them for free, either at the local libraries or the elementary schools sometimes have rooms. So anyway, I'm going to look into it, and when I find out about it, I'm definitely going to I'm going to start one up here. It's just time in my community to bring up, because see, I'm in many different issues. The water rights issue right now is a really big deal, and the Native Americans are suffering a whole lawsuit regarding water rights. I mean, they're coming in and taking the water rights away from the indigenous that you cannot take the water rights away from.
Yeah.
So this is going to be something I'm going to be covering as well, because it's right here, it's happening right now, and they're seizing the aquifers. And I know that that's what's happening. Look, right in my own community, we have a water pressure that's so low. Sorry, I just got a little notice or something. But anyway, isn't that a pleasant sound though? It's like it's better than ding ding.
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, my point is that we can get involved. People, you have to look around you, and it's not hard to do. Anything in your local life. If you're like me, went to the farmer's market and found out they were selling GMO food at the farmer's market. Oh, that was fun. That was fun. You should see the kind of name I have there now, for bringing that out in the open. But yeah, but if you look around you and you start asking questions, I mean, hey, go to your local grocery store. By the way, I have to, please let me talk about this because we don't have much time. The explosions in Arizona.
Oh yes, absolutely. But before we do, can I just wanted to make I had a question, but I'm going to turn it into a comment. Is we were talking about, and the reason why I want to backtrack a little bit before we go too far and go into the explosions, and I definitely want to hear about that, is we were talking about how the GMO and all that is changing our DNA and all that. Now, there's something that I really want to bring out here that people really need to realize, and we'll talk about the explosions after this, is that while we are, like Roxy has said, we're only using a certain percentage of our brain. We are going through a DNA evolution. And for me, I just have to say that it is my opinion and or observation that everything that is happening to us, whether it be the fluoride in the water, whether it be GMOs, Morgellons, Chemtrails, Monsanto and everything that they've done, Codex Alimentarius, is to stop that evolution. Because let me tell you something, if you feel or you think that the government is only doing it, or I don't want to say the government because there's many governments on this planet. I want to say the elite, the 1%, I'll speak in occupied terms. The 1% know that humanity is evolving. The 1% know that humanity has awoken. And the 1% know how to stop it. So all of these things that we're talking about, Morgellons, transhumanism, all of these chemicals being put into the body, it's their attempt to I guess, switch the path of evolution from a 100% enlightened, using your brain, your pineal gland, and using all of your DNA, which we all know there are strands of the DNA that are not being used. We are about to start using those. We're about to start using our entire brain. But somehow, some way, the 1% have figured out it's better to have them docile. It's better to have them listen and follow what we tell them. Actually, it's even better if we just turn them into machines. So that's something that I'd like to put out there for all of us to consider. When you hear, and the reason why I say this is that there's so much right-wing stuff against the metaphysical consciousness movement, you're going to hear things that we are evolving our DNA. But please be very, very clear that when I say evolving our DNA, or Roxy says evolving our DNA, or somebody else in the consciousness movement says it, we're talking about it naturally occurring because of the time, the place, the way the universe is, where our planet is heading, where the universe is heading, where our galaxy is heading. Just the timeline of that. It's time for us to awaken as a planet. So please, for those of you that are Illuminati, paranoid type people, yes, of course they're going to tell you, the 1% are going to tell you, we're trying to evolve you, but they're trying to evolve you into a transhuman, which is very different from the natural evolved, illuminated human being that I feel that we all are coming into at this place and at this time.
You're absolutely right, Bernard. And we are surrounded in artificiality. I mean, think
Yes.
about it.
Yeah.
We have
Everything.
artificial weather, artificial food, artificial media, artificial. It's all artificial. Everything's made to look like artificial trees, artificial. It right. Okay.
Everything.
So
Just
back
everything.
to what you were saying, and you know what I'm thinking. Hold on. Let me see what. Okay. You know what? I'd rather stay on this subject. Why don't we do this, Bernard? Why don't we do another show on the explosions, because it's a very long story, and people need to know all the agencies that I contacted.
Oh,
And this
wow,
story
really?
gets what? Yeah, this is a big story. All I'm going to say about it for now is these explosions. Even my husband said it is not a sonic boom. We have confirmed now that these aren't sonic booms. We've had 7 of them in a period of 6 weeks, and they shake your entire home. But let's do another show
No,
on it, because
absolutely, and I would
you want
love
to?
Yes,
Okay, you
you're
want
giving
to?
me an
Okay.
excuse to book another show with you. I love it.
All right, let's do that, because I've got to tell you, even my jaw is dropping now at some of the answers and some of the stuff that I'm getting, because now it's really illuminating to me some of the players. So I'll do. I've been following up on this every day. I've local people in Arizona, right down the street from me too. We were trying to get recordings of it in the whole 9 yards. I mean,
Wow,
but
great,
anyway, as
great.
far as what on the note that you had just said, yes, indeed. We are responsible, and we need to be responsible. You see, first of all, we clean up our own backyards, and we take accountability for who we are. Taking accountability for who we are is the passage to self-empowerment. Period. I don't care if you're an AA. I don't care if you're an Al-Anon. Whatever you are doing, when you take the bull by the horns and you take responsibility for your own actions, something very magical happens. You become self-empowered. That in self-empowerment in itself opens doors for you that you would have never have opened if you stayed a victim. So we need to get out of this victim mentality that the government did it, or the bank did it, or the neighbor did it, or my boss said, because you're making a lot of false accusations when you say those things, because the truth is you did it.
Yes.
You are in charge. We are in charge. And I'm sorry, I've been working on my life for many, many, many years. And there are days, like, I don't want to sound like I'm above it all. There are days where I point fingers. I go, I can't believe, he said that about me. Can you believe this? But when I get back to the reality, I go through the pain of that. I go through, and I come out the other end and said, what do I want to do about it? That's all there is to it. Like, okay, this happened. Now what do I want to do about it? And that's empowering. Okay. And so to stay empowered, it's very important. 2, seek out like minds, because the minds of those who aren't in it yet, okay, there are brothers and sisters and we love them, but they're going to fight you on what you know. They're going to fight you on that. They're going to have the right to be a victim. Okay, I know a lot of people who have the right to be a victim. So you want to socialize, form a fellowship of those who get it, and because they're going to merge with you, and everybody's going to empower everybody else. So that's how it works. That's what this is all about. And bringing up things like chemtrails or GMOs or Morgellons or cancer or Alzheimer's or all the rest of it is just the door to awareness. The reality is, I want you to be my fellowship. I need humanity to stand with me. So, right, Bernard?
My colleagues.
We need
be
that.
my colleagues. You
We
are my
can't
colleagues.
do it alone. We're not going to do it alone. We haven't been doing it alone.
No.
So we need you, and I love you. And mahalo to all the people that have helped. Right on. Rock
Absolutely.
on.
And thank you, Roxy. We have literally 1 minute, so why don't we wrap it up with a few little announcements to let everybody know. Why don't you start by telling us who's going to be on your show this Friday on American Freedom Radio?
Oh, thanks. This Friday, 7 to 9 Central, The Truth Denied. Of course, I'm your host, Roxy Lopez, and we're going to have author, psychic, documentary maker, filmmaker, I should say, is lecturer, traveled from anywhere from Giza to Peru, all over the
Wow.
world lecturing, Sean David Martin.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
yeah,
Great. I love Sean David Morton. That's
he's going to
great.
be on the show, and we're going to try to get him to do some predictions because he was for many, many years on Art Bell, for
Yes,
like 20 years, he was the prediction guy and pretty accurate. So I hope that we can get him to do some predictions.
absolutely. And for those of you, I know I got some questions, and I actually posted I'd answer some of them today. I'm sorry we didn't have the time to do it, which gives us an excuse to have another live stream with Roxy. So I will get to your questions. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to do that. But on our show next week, we have Joseph Selby of the Yugas conference, and that is going to be very interesting. I mean, I personally don't even know, so it's going to be a learning experience for me.
Oh, nice.
But I love that when a host, I mean, when a guest is going to be a learning experience for me. Anyway, we got to wrap it up. I just want to let everybody know, please, 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 Roxy Lopez at the Truth Denied, or just Truth Denied? Dot
TheTruthDenied.com.
com and thegic.org. Remember, we are activists. This is what we do for a living, and we don't get paid. You guys have to pay us. So please consider making a donation to thetruthDenied.com and or thegic.org. We get to have another show with Roxy. Thank you, and we will continue this discussion. I like this. We may just have to keep doing this.
This is kind of it feels a lot more personal. I have a kiss for you. Mm.
Mwah, to you too, honey. Thank you,
Thank
everybody, for
you.
watching. Roxy, stay on Skype.
I
Everybody
will.
else, thank you, everybody. We love you very much.
Bye.
I'll be
Big
back.
hug.
I will be back on the GIC in about 60 minutes to do our Tuesday happy hour show. So hang around. Actually, it might be less than that. So I'll see you in a few minutes, guys. I love you. Thank you
Love
for
it.
watching our live stream, our special live stream with Roxy Lopez and myself, Bernard Alvarez. We love you very much. Bye bye.